Hi, Angie. This is Danny Saylor. I'm sending you this through a recording. I was born in Southwest Detroit. When I was about 10, I got in trouble and blew up a cement mixer on 75 as they was making the freeway, southbound freeway on 75 by Tiger Stadium. When I was 12, a lady gave me some downers and I woke up in a garbage can, uh, doped up. The lady did it. I was young, and so after that, uh, when I was about almost 16 years old, a guy had jumped on my brother, and I was in a gang at the time. So I jumped over the fence with a ball bat, and he ran in the house, and he come out with a gun and shot me twice in the leg. So I kept a bullet in me about 20 some years, and then they took it out. Uh, then later on in life, I was at a building on Lawndale Street. That's in Southwest Detroit. And I went to a party there. They had an open house. So I went to the party and I was drunk and doped up and stuff. And the guys told me to sit down because I was dancing. And I said, well, I'm not sitting down. This is a party, so I'm dancing. Well, next thing I knew, when I was going down the stairs, somebody sucker punched me, and they laid me down and stretched my arms out like I was on a cross. And I guess they used a machete or a giant knife, and they cut me all on my arms and my back. So I got 75 stitches. Then later on, my brother's girlfriend moved in the same building, and they went out. We was drinking. They went out to a bar. I stayed at her house, chilling. And a guy knocked on the door and he said, you know, I'm lost. Could you help me? And I said, yeah, where are you going? And he said, well, I had a beer in my hand. So he said, could I have a beer? I said, sure. So we went up. I had to go up some stairs to our apartment. So I went up there anyway with him. And we sit and talk for a minute. And he said, you want an Indian wrestle? And I said, no, I don't want an Indian wrestle. And he said, come on, man, Indian wrestle. So I Indian wrestled him. Well, anyway, I don't think he liked it because as I was at, when he was getting ready to leave, he was going, I went down the stairs first and he sucker punched me. So we went out in the street fighting and he would beat me pretty good. So I pulled out a knife that I always carried in my pocket. And when I did that, I cut my finger almost off. So I held the knife like that, holding my finger on because we was by a drain on the street, and I didn't want to lose my finger down in the drain. So the cops come anyway, sold me up, and they said you're going to jail for you're going to jail for attempted murder because I punctured his lungs and I cut him under his eyes, both eyes. Anyway, they called me later on and said the guy dropped the charges because he was a pro boxer from Ohio and he said he started to fight. So the cops called me and said, you're off, like that. So anyway, so we was in a gang. We had a couple of fights with some other gangs. I shot at a person one time in another gang. Then later on, I settled down after I was about 19. I got married to my first wife, had my daughter Angel, and she then my wife got cancer, and I had to take care of her. I took some time off work, had to take care of her, and then she died, and I drove to the river, and I was ready to drive in the river, and I heard a voice telling me no. I just heard no. That's all I heard. but it sounded audibly, but it was in my spirit mostly. So I turned the car. When I was headed toward the bank there, I turned the car after I heard no, and I almost went into the river, but I didn't, thank God. So later on, my daughter had trouble with her boyfriend. He hit her upside the head and put 3 stitches on her head. So I pulled a gun out down the street. He was down the street breaking bottles, saying, "Come up here, come up here." So I went down the street with a gun to shoot him, and he took off. So that's just the beginning. Then I happened to after she died, a couple of years later, I married a younger girl, and she was very flirtatious. And I moved in with her mom and dad, and they got me to pay all the bills, and they was keeping their money and stuff, and we lived in the basement. So I told them I don't want to live in the basement no more. I want my own place. So she didn't want to do that. So I said, well, you got a week to make up your mind. If not, then I'll divorce you. So she didn't want to leave her parents. So I divorced her. So about 6 years or so later I married another woman with 6 kids. We was married for about 7 years, and then her kids started growing up, getting on drugs and stuff, and I was trying to work for the city of Detroit. I started there in 1994, and I worked for the health department and the water board department. So they was wanting to fight with me and stuff, and I was tired and stuff from working. I had to come in and fight and stuff. So I told her, if you don't do something with your kids, man, I gotta go. So wound up, I dropped her off at her sister's, and I went to get in a motel for a while so I could build my money up to get a nice place. And anyway, I called her sister and stuff, and I said, "How's she doing?" And they just said she's busy or gone and stuff. So I waited a couple months. I didn't hear from her, so I divorced her. So later on, she called me about 90 days later and said she was in the psych ward. She had a nervous breakdown because of all the confusion, I guess. So later on, after that, I just kept working with the city and stuff, and now I got hurt on my job, city of Detroit, and I got a big settlement back in about 2 years ago, 2019. So anyway, I was kind of hurt for a long time, real hurt, and they didn't want to pay me, so I just had to get a lawyer, and they paid me a settlement anyway. So later on, I started watching my grandkids, and my daughter and social worker said, "Well, once you get paid for it, you still get Social Security if you don't, work too many hours." So I work about 20 hours a week watching them, and I'm still getting Social Security. I get shots in my back. Well, I was, but they wanted to cut nerves in my back, and I said, "Nah, I ain't playing that." But I do get a shot in my arm once in a great, great while. And, I'm just watching the kids and trying to live my life now. I was, 3 years ago, I started drinking, though, with a friend of mine, African-American gentleman. And now he's got cancer, and then I got an ulcer. So after that, I just quit drinking, period. And I don't want no more. So that's about it. There's a lot more to my life, but I can't talk forever. So anyway, I'll finally get this to you, Angie. And God bless you, and thanks for the opportunity. And take care, everybody. YouTube fans, take care. Bye.